Good evening. Hi, I should say this. I should say the good afternoon. It's actually a little after 3 this afternoon, and I'm recording early because I'm out of town, and I won't be available tonight at 7. So I'm recording this early. So I apologize for not being live this evening at 7, but nonetheless, we'll post it. Make sure that it's posted by 7 tonight. But anyway, today's Thursday, December the 7th, 2023. And like I said, it's about a little bit after 3 in the afternoon on Thursday. And we're excited to be here. Thank you for being with us. Welcome to our broadcast tonight or this afternoon to a session of the Conscious Creators Toolbox. Team Conscious Creators comes every Thursday night with a session on, we're talking about our creativity, usually talking about our creativity. The past few months, we've been dealing and working with our spirituality. Right. You've been talking about spirituality, and we're probably going to be talking about spirituality probably going forward into the next year, into the new year. Going to be sharing information on our spirituality. My spirit team and I decided, kind of came together at the meeting of the spirits, a meeting of the minds and the hearts, and we decided that we needed to actually show or demonstrate or explore the comparisons or the differences or not even the differences, compare and really show the similarities, I guess I should say, with our creativity. You know, we talk about our creativity, we talk about our creative tools, but our spirit is also, I wouldn't call it a tool, I would call it an agent, an agent of change. Just like our minds and our physical bodies, our spirit. And really, if truth be known, it is our spirit that originates from the inside out that we have our living, that we have our life from the inside out. So we rely on the spirit. So my spirit team and I kind of get together, and we've been exploring and taking a closer look at our spirituality in regards to our creativity, how we create, what we create, when we create. So we're going to be talking about it going forward. Again, thank you for being with us on our YouTube channel. You're going to be watching hopefully later on this afternoon on our YouTube channel. And I want to invite you to subscribe to our channel. And while you're there, hit that little thumbs up button, thumbs up to let us know that we're okay. You like us. You're down with us, so to speak. And if we're not, if there's something that we need to work on, you can do use the thumbs down as well. It's just let us know that you were with us. Let us know that you were with us and you joined us. That way we know. And that also gives the folk at YouTube, something to work with when they're looking at algorithms and where we should fit in the scheme and the game of things. And we hopefully that building up our subscribers, our membership, our community. And we would like to invite you to subscribe and become a member as well. If this is the first time joining us, I am so excited that you joined us. So happy that you're here, and I hope that you come back, and I hope that you share our content with your friends and family. Hopefully we'll have some information or some topics that we're talking about that may be of interest and help to you and yourself and your spiritual journey, your creativity journey of creativity, or you may just find the various reasons or various benefits that you can apply some of our teachings and some of what we explore and we share with you. So tonight we're going to continue. Tonight we're going to continue talking about spirituality, and we will be exploring and sharing our understanding of the spiritual power of names. The name. My name is Jean. I am Jean Aaron, and I also call myself the Conscious Creator. And hopefully you are all conscious and aware and awakened creators as well. You're creators anyway. You create by default, so that's what we do. But we want to be deliberate and purposeful creators and manifestors, because we manifest our realities in our lives and our dreams. We bring our dreams into our experiences. So tonight we're going to be talking about names, the spiritual importance, the spiritual significance, the spiritual power that is in names. All right, so we're gonna delve into that. Our name basically holds an incredible amount of importance in our lives. Each one of us have a name, and that name not only identifies who we are. When somebody sees me, they say, oh, that's Jean. If they don't know who I am, then they might ask me, who are you? What's your name? And that's the first thing how we introduce ourselves to one another. So it has a very important importance. It's just a very significant part of our lives and our livelihood and who we are and how we are. So not only does it connect each of us to our own identity and our individuality, but it also carries power, responsibility, and blessings. Yeah, we are blessed. I am Jean is blessed. You are blessed. Whatever your name may be, John, Jim, Mike, Bob, Robert, David, Paul, Paula, Pauline, Candy, Cynthia, Wanda, Billy, Bob, whoever you are, your name is important to you. It carries with it blessings. It carries with it power. It carries with it responsibility. Right. So when they look at me and they say, Jean, you're responsible for the sessions on Conscious Creators Toolbox on Thursday nights. That's my responsibility to the community here with the Conscious Creators. But I also have responsibility. Jean has a responsibility as a citizen of this beautiful, awesome country that we live in. I'm a citizen of the planet Earth. My name is Jean, and it's uniquely me. There may be millions of Jeans, but Jean Aaron, that's me. That's I am Jean. And when I meet a Jean, I'm always excited because you're Jean too, and I am too. So names carry a lot of power. It carries a lot of responsibility, and it also carries blessings. Blessings come with that, right? I am blessed to be a part of an awesome family. I've got beautiful relatives and friends, and I'm blessed to be a part of the community here in the area where I live. I'm just blessed coming, I'm blessed going. I'm blessed. That when God created man, when God, our Father, our Creator, created man, He gave man the name Adam. And one of the first jobs He gave to Adam was to give names to everything put under his authority and under his care. So everything that was brought to Adam had the responsibility of naming it. And guess what? We are the created as well, and we have followed in our father Adam's footsteps as created beings of the beloved Father. So we still maintain that authority and that responsibility of naming things. And we do name things. We name our projects, we name our communities, we name our children, we name our jobs. We put names on everything. Our pets, we name our pets. We name our plants. We name. When things are presented to us, we give it a name. We name our cars, Nellie Bell or whatever. We name our whatever we name, and we have maintained that responsibility of naming things going forward. So one of the things, no matter what your name is, we're descendants of Adam. Adam was the first man created, and we have followed in those footsteps, and we still maintain. We're still the created. We're still the beloved. We are still given the responsibility and the job and the authority to name, right? And the names that we give mean something to us. We don't haphazardly, without thought or regards, name anything that we name. We name it with a purpose and a reason, and that's who we are. That's how we take on that responsibility, take on that job of naming our children. We put very much thought and love and care into how we name our children. So we name. That's our job. While naming is tied to authority in the scriptures, in the Bible, according to Father, it also reveals intimacy. Our names create an intimacy, create a relationship, create a connection, create a relationship with others in our community. Our parents, they give us a name because they love us. They give us a name because that brings us closer to them. And then they give us, sometimes they give us surnames, or they give us names of our ancestors, or they give us names of friends, or we're named after, sometimes we're named after our parents, juniors, or the second or the third. So we're given those names as not only as a connection to them, but it also indicates an intimacy as well. So names, like I said, it's in the scripture, it's given authority according to scriptures, but it also identify or reveals the intimacy. Naming happens in the context of relationships. We name according to how we are related to whatever it is that's brought to us to name. Whether we're naming a business, or whether we're naming a child, or children, a pet, or even naming our cars, we put a lot of thought and a lot of deliberation into choosing a name, a particular name. And we really should. And it's very wise to do so, because studies that we do as as psychologists, as sociologists, just spoke, just studies show that we have a psychological, connection to our names. Whatever name we use, we're psychologically connected to it in some way. It means something to us, and we act accordingly by what the meaning and the understanding that we've placed on it in our minds and in our hearts and in our way that we do. So choosing a name, again, it creates that intimacy, that relationship to it. So psychologically, we will name something, and we'll start relating that name to that, whatever it is, that person, that child, that pet, the house, whatever, the neighborhood, whatever, the community. The way we feel about our names affect us mentally. The way we feel about anything. The way we feel about anything affects it as well as it affects us. So when we're talking about another human being, or an animal, or a pet, or a plant, or something that's living, that we give it a name, we have not only a psychological, but we have a mental, we have sometimes we have we have a different outlook on it. If we just have a bottle sitting there, we don't give a bottle a name. It's just any old bottle. So a bottle, we went down with it, we trusted it, throw it in the trash. But if we give our bottle, our water bottle, a particular name or a particular identity or identification, we make it dear to us. So names, when we name something, when we identify it and own it and bring it into our relationship, it has the name itself gives it purpose, gives it cause, gives it reason, and it gives it intimacy in some way to us, right? In scripture, we see that names often have a prophetic meaning. Like David means, father. Abraham means father. David means son. All names are, in the scripture, has a specific meaning. And I'll encourage you to kind of look up some of those names, like Naomi, David, Moses. Moses was brought from the water. His name was related to bringing from the water, or bringing out from the water. So every name has reason. Jesus, Jesus, God's names have a meaning. Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah that heals, Jehovah Jireh. That's the God that's the God that lives. And every name in the Bible, if you go through the Bible, you can trace it back to a meaning. And we tend to do that in a way, in our way of naming. We put an understanding or meaning behind it. It may not be a name that we can go in and, because we get creative with names sometimes. And, but we know what we want it to mean to us. So I'm going to encourage you that as you go forward in names, you be a little bit more understanding, a little bit more deliberate with what you call a thing, or call a person, or call a plant, or an animal, or pet. Be deliberate about it, because you are giving it some of your energy, some of your thoughts, some of your feelings, and some of your relationships, and you're connecting with it in some way. So as I stated before, when God created the first man, Adam. And if you look back at the meaning, if we look back at the meaning of Adam, the name Adam, we learned that the name Adam comes from the Hebrew word Adama, Adama, I think how you pronounce it. And that means ground or earth and soil. With the name inspired by the fundamentals of the earth, Adam. It was inspired by the fundamentals of earth, of the ground. Baby Adam can embrace life from the ground up. That's what, that was the whole concept of what God was bringing into that name Adam, from the ground up. He was formed from the earth. Adam was formed, his body was formed from the earth, and God breathed life into Adam. So he was brought up from the earth. So he could embrace the ground and everything that the ground and the earth produced. Adam could embrace it and could, be ownership of it and recognize that he was part of that. He came from that. He could honor that. And that was the prophetic or the meaning behind the Hebrew name of Adam. I want to give you three. Oh, and I want to say this too, that beyond the name itself, there's also a tremendous spiritual significance about our names. All right. And I'm going to encourage you again to go through the Bible, look at those names and find out what those names mean. My daughter named her son Elijah. All right. Elijah has a prophetic meaning behind his name. She named one of her sons Prophet. Prophet has a meaning behind it. Gloria. My first name is Gloria. And I was named after my mother, but she was also glorious. So all names mean something. And I, again, encourage you to look through the Bible and find out some of those names. And some of them are very beautiful names. And what they mean, the meaning and the meaning and the prophecy behind those names, when you step into that name or you're given that name, you bring into yourself, your beingness, everything that name means and represents. Glorious, Gloria, glory, all of that I embraced because I was brought into that. All right. But I want to give you three spiritual reasons that your name is important, whatever your name might be. I'll encourage you to do some research, find out who named you, why they named you, whatever they named you, whatever your name is. Why was it named? Was it after an ancestor? What is it? All right. So let's see. The number one, the first reason, or the first spiritual significance of name is that your name is the conduit for the light of the Creator to flow through you, to bring you life. You are a conduit. Your name is the conduit for the light of the Creator to flow into your life. That's how we connect. We connect with it. When we introduce ourselves, we use the introduction of I am. That's God's name, I am. So we can also use the name I am. I am God. I am God. And I am Gloria, Jean. I am Jean. So I am God, Jean. Godly Jean, God-like Jean. I am of my Father, God, and I am Jean. All right. So Jean has a special meaning. Jean has a special meaning. I am is that breath of life that flows into me. So when I say that, every time I say that life of God, like a Creator, flows into me. The Jewish Kabbalah and the Hebrew scriptures often state that when there is something wrong with the person, they find out something's wrong with them, or wrong with their name, then the light, it diminishes something, it has an effect on the light that flows into the person. And there may be something lacking in the person. When we discover that, there's a problem with the name or a problem with the person, the Hebrew and the Jewish, they would look at the name first, look at making sure that everything was okay. And If in the event that they found that there was problems, it was causing a lack of blessings coming into the life, a lack of wisdom coming into that person, like a lack of light being brought into that person, they would suggest changing the name. Let's give that person a new name. Let's change the name. Let's just figure out maybe something's going on, so maybe we need to change the name. So it also says that so much so, again, that they suggest changing the name. They're having, especially if they're having consistent bad luck or lacking blessings, or something's going on wrong and awry in their lives, they would suggest, and usually a lot of times they would. This is probably old Jewish and old Hebrew, but I'm sure that there are folk that still in that faith that still believe or still make that consideration in the event that a person is just, something is going just crazy, So just like the electrical wires that stretch from telephone poles into your homes, providing a conduit of electrical power or telephone service or cable service, our name is like that same connection. It connects to Creator, it connects to Source, and that brings the life of God. It flows into us from Source, and that's the name. And our name, if you think about it, a name is made out of words. It's a word, the letters, and those letters the letters we use they spell our name. So we can look at it like this name has as we speak the name, it has a certain vibration, a vibrational frequency about it, and that frequency interrupts other energies that it comes in contact with, and it has an effect on other energies that it comes in contact with. When I speak the name Jean, a special vibration goes out. From somebody's listening to me, that information comes back to me, right? The number 2 thing is that your name connects you to those who come before you. Like I said, oftentimes we are our ancestors. We're named after our ancestors. Like I said, I was named after my mother, So we and our surnames, usually our last name, our surnames, my last name is my family name, and then we are given a first name. So our names connect us to our ancestors, to those who came before us. Even if it's someone, so nobody in my family's name supposedly was, say, David per se. If every David that before my name, David, or whomever, David, I assume that those personalities, those traits, that beingness about them, and also I have the same vibrational frequency, the vibrational energy. All genes have the same vibrational energy. The name, they call that name, that is our signature gene. David, the frequency, the vibrational frequency of David, that's the signature for that person's signature on them identifying their names. The wisdom of the Jewish and the Hebrew teaches that our souls have names. And even before we came into being, even before we came into our bodies, into life, our souls, our spirit had a name. Before we came into this physical world, there was a name. Souls that come from the same branch of the tree of life share the same name, right? Now, this is something that the Jewish and the Hebrew believe this, that the name Jean, it came from the tree of life named Jean, and everybody named Jean is associated with that branch, that part of that tree of life. Every David that there is, before and after the David that exists now, came from the same branch of the tree of life. So, like I said, the wisdom of the Jewish faith teaches that our souls have names even before we come into the physical world. Souls that come from the same branch of the tree of life share the same name in the spiritual world, all right? When our name is connected to the same branch as a righteous soul, we are naturally connected to the power of that righteousness. that righteous soul. The naming of anything, especially when it comes to a child, is not necessarily about choosing what the name we like should be. We should really think about, we should really kind of rather think about choosing the name that would actually fit the soul. You know, when we have children, I know that with me and my children, after I became pregnant with my children, they were so close and a part of me that I started identifying with them. I started identifying that little soul that I was nurturing on the inside of me. And I was so intimate and so close and so connected to that child that I sensed the soul of that baby. And my spirit spoke to my heart and spoke to my mind and helped me and came together, and we formed names. We gave names, specific names for each one of my children, and it was with thought. It wasn't something that I know I looked at books and things like that, but ultimately I just went into my prayer closet. I had conversations with my spirit man, with my source, with my Father, with God, and we came up with the name. I presented to my husband, I presented to the family, and we decided, yes, Nicole, yes, Jairi, who's named after Jairus, the centurion in the back in the Bible. That faith, yes, faith. All of those names, and I wanted them to have a meaning, and I wanted to be able to in the future sit down and tell them why I chose their name, what it meant to me. But I also pointed out to them, each one of them, I pointed out, that's the name that I gave you as a mom, as a physical human being. But God has given you a name that only you and God knows. It's only private and confidential to you and God. And as you grow up, you are going to confer, have that relationship with Father, with your Creator, and you're going to discover what that name is, because God is going to well up that life inside of you, and He's going to identify who you are. And that identity is going to be over and beyond Jairi. It's going to be over and beyond Kismic. It's going to be over and beyond any name that I could give you. So I made sure that as they grew up, I helped my children understand that as the importance of their name. And consequently, each one of my girls thought very carefully and very consciously about the name that they gave their children. Like I said, my youngest daughter, she was so in touch the fact that her name was Jairus, or a derivative of Jairus, that she decided that she was going to use all of her children's names were from the Bible, with the exception of her youngest son. I think it was named after her husband, which again, it had purpose and a meaning, because of course she wants her sons to imitate and be like their father, who is the example for them. So, so she's they thought they were very confident and very purposeful about how they were going to name their children. All right. Let's see if I want to say something else about number 3. Living up to your name means living up to, this is how your names matter. Living up to, because you live up to your name. Like I said before, when we have in mind a name and we associate that name with that individual, and that individual, we look at the different traits and the different personalities of that person. And it relates to the name. For instance, we use names, we relate names to individuals. We relate names to famous athletes like Mike. I want to be like Mike, and like my cousin Hank Aaron. He named his son, and then there's Henry. So all of those names we name, they match, or we associate them with something or some prophecy or some meaning, and we deliberately, consciously, sometimes unconsciously or subconsciously, we become attuned to what that name represents. And what that name represents, we expect that representation to be demonstrated in that person, right? I don't know. When I see Mike, When I hear the name Mike, I'm looking for somebody that can dance like Michael Jackson, or dribble the ball down the court like Michael Jordan, or if I hear the name Jesse. Jesse is so closely related to the name Jesus that I look at Jesse and I think Jesse is a Christ-like person, a person like Jesus, or names. I mean, you can probably look at a particular name, and it goes with the person or personality. My grandmother's name was Hattie, and her daughter's name, I have an aunt named Hattie, and they were Hatties. So every time I see or hear the name Hattie, I look for the qualities that were in my grandmother. I had an aunt named Sophie. I look for names and people, names, I think for qualities or characteristics in people named Sophie that would be similar to my Aunt Sophie. Oprah Winfrey. When I hear the name Oprah, or if I see other names Oprah, I look for some woman who is a humanitarian, who loves people, who is just outgoing and kind-hearted, and just an awesome orator, presenter. That's what I look at when I look at Oprah. And other people, Diana, I think of, a songstress, So every name, if you really stop and think about it, you associate names with people, individuals, and personalities, and the traits and activities. So one of the spiritual qualities of names is that the names that were given had meaning, and we were expecting that person, or looking for the demonstration of those characteristics, of those traits from that individual. If your name was Jesus, if your name was Christ, I expected you to be anointed and spiritual, a spirit-filled person who was love. Love was exuberating out of you and for you. And the goodness of mankind was always your purpose, and we expect people to live up to whatever those traits are that we visualize. And spiritually, that's an absolute, without a doubt. When we hear the name David, we know that David was the son. David was the great shepherd. David was this great king. David was the ancestor, or Jesus was a descendant of David. So we look at all of that, and when we see David, we honor that name in the regards to David the king, David the shepherd boy. So we're living up the third reason, the third significance or spiritual significance of name. It's living up to your name means living up to your soul's purpose or your soul's potential. Now, again, God gave us a name before we even came into our physical being, probably before we even thought about, probably before our parents even met to come together to even form us. God knew us. God knew us way back when, before we were human, before we were physical in the third dimension. God knew our souls, and God named us. Each individual, one of us has a soul that God has identified and named. God named. And our soul took that name, and our soul is living and existing in the regards to that name and doing its best to live up to the potential. It's up to us human beings to give ourselves to that understanding, to that belief, to that knowing that we have a name. And when we find the name, and we find the purpose, and we understand the potential of that name, and I'm going to give you a for sure potential. Absolutely, every time you call yourself, you say, I am. I am. You are bold enough, bad enough to use the most powerful name, the highest vibrational frequency name, I am. Absolutely, every time you identify yourself to someone else, even to yourself, you call yourself, I am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you use that name and you own that name, you own it, and nobody's going to take it away from you. Regard think of this, think of the power, think of all of the potential that is behind the name I am. Even before I put Jean on it, I am. The name that's above all names is I am. All right. So we're given that name. And I'm going to tell you, I just want to say this about that. The Jewish wisdom and the Hebrew wisdom teaches that after a person dies, they are asked by the Creator, what is your name? And did you live up to that name? Did you live up to that name? In other words, our name represents our potential. The purpose of our lives while we are in the physical world is to build our name through the actions of sharing, transforming, and growing. And we're here to have fun. And all of that sharing and all of that growing and all of that transforming, it should turn out to be, some happy times and some not so happy times too. It's kind of tough growing. It is tough growing up. It's tough going through transformations because we're changing. And we change. We're just gonna change. We're subject to change. We can't do anything about it, but we're not too eager about it. Okay. So it's a challenge. But all the time, we're professing to be I am. We're professing to be God. We're using the name above all names, even before we say Jean or David or Michael or Cynthia or Kismet or Nikki or Wanda or Bob or Jack or Paul or Mary or Sheila or Virginia or Jenny, whatever your name is, you're going to serve it. You're going to always use the name above all names. I am Jean. And then I'll use I am to even open up other potentialities for myself. I am wealthy. I am wise. I am fortunate. I am healthy. I am free. I am hopeful. I am glad. I'm joyful. I'm happy. I'm blissful. I am. I open up other states and avenues of that. I open up the potential of who I am each time I profess my name. I do. All right. The purpose of our lives while we're here in the third dimension in the earth is to build our name. Whatever that name is, given your name that your parents gave you, or if you're lucky or blessed or fortunate enough to know your soul name like Jesus the Christ knew, and some of us who know maybe and have that relationship with God and source enough that we understand who we are to be called, then we start living out the realization, the reality of who, what, and whose we are, the potential. We get to that potential. Am I doing what my soul came here to do? When I was a little girl, and one of the things that I grew up and I was, I was taken in awe by all the Bible stories I was taught about Jesus. And I always was just amazed at all the beautiful things that he did and wonderful things that he did for humans and in the world. And I wanted to be like Jesus. And I, even asked my grandma, what do I need to do to be like Jesus? I want to be like that. Sorry, we're back. Got a little guest that came in. He wanted to bring grandma. I've got my grandsons I'm visiting my grandsons today. But anyway, back to my desire to be like Jesus growing up. I must have been 7 or 8. I may have been about their age, a little bit older, because I think they're like, the little one was 4, I think. And then we have his little brother came in, he was 7. So I was about 7 or 8 years old when I wanted to be like Jesus. And my grandmother would say to me, she says, well, Jesus came here to do what Jesus came here to do. And he finished what he did. Remember he said on the cross, he says, he finished. He said, well, you want to be like Jesus, you just find out what you came here to do and do it and finish it. And then you can be like Jesus. So I say this, that we all have a purpose, and like we all have a given name, a name for our souls, but we all have the name I am. We all have that surname. So if we live up if we just attempt to live up to the potential of I am, that would be a start until we understand the particulars or the specifics of our own purpose. Just be like God, be godlike until you know your soul's name, because your name is I am. So live that out, live that potential out. To ensure that you are expanding your name and living up to your potential, take an account of your soul every single day. I know I would wake up in the morning and I would hear my grandmother singing and humming, and I go back and I think about that, and she was doing is she was evaluating her day. In the evenings, when she would have a prayer time before retiring and going to bed at night or sleep at night, she would have that time and spend that time, reading the Bible and again, humming and singing. And she was taking account of her day, account of her soul's work, her journey. So let us do that. Let us make it a habit of practicing identifying how well we made it through another day's journey. How we came close to living up to the name of our soul name, or even your given name. Your name has a purpose, has a reason, it has a personality about it, has traits about it. Live up to that. Live up to Nancy, if your name is Nancy. Find out what Nancy represents and live up to that. And if you have a name that you just not working for you, guess what? People change names all the time. You can do that. You can change your name. I know several people, many people who's changed their names. So you can do that as well. So if you ask yourself these questions every day, how well did I do? Did I meet the standard of Jean? Did I meet the standard of I am? Did I meet the standard of Mike? Did I meet the standard of Joseph? Did I meet the standard of Paula? Whatever your name might be. Sarah, did I meet the name of Sarah? How about Abraham? Father of all of us. Did I represent that name in the course of my day? And if you fell short, it's okay. You wake up the next morning, it's a new day, a brand new opportunity to move forward into Abraham, if that's your name, into David, if that's your name, into Sam, if that's your name. If your name is Moses, move into Moses during the day ahead of you. Ask your source, ask God, ask Father, ask Creator to be with you and give you the inspiration and the opportunity. On the course of my day, give me the opportunity to live my life like David did. David was in the Bible, he was a shepherd boy, and he tended the sheep, and he took care of that, and then he was a tough little guy. He fought bears and made sure that nobody was bothering his sheep. So he was, David was pretty tough. So you want to be like your namesake, shepherd what God has given you to shepherd. Fight out those animals and make sure that those sheep get taken care of, that you have been in charge, that you're given charge of. Yes. And we're all descendants of Adam, and we all have the opportunity to give names to not only animals and people and children and projects. We can give names to situations, circumstances. When we give a name to a circumstance that let's be cautious about it. Because when we call a state worry, I'm worried. You're not worried. God has no worries. So why are you tagging? How are you attaching that name to your God-given name? So be cautious about what you speak after you call yourself, after you named yourself, because you're naming every situation that comes into your life, every situation that happens to you. And that's something that I want to kind of maybe spend a little bit more time in. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in talking about it tonight, but understand that after you pronounce the two words I and am, the name that goes behind it, you are bringing that, you're embracing that, you're bringing that into your identity, into your state of existence and state of experience. We'll talk about it. We'll talk a little bit more about the as we go, because I think we want to talk a little bit more about the power of how we name, that authority and that job that we were given to name. We want to spend some time on exactly how we do that job. We're doing a good job. You know, I could tell you this, I can tell you a good sign to know whether you're doing a good job or not. Like they say, names carry blessings. Names carry blessings, right? So if you're naming a name and you know that it doesn't carry a blessing, don't attach it to you. Don't even bring it around you. You know, sickness, that's not a blessing. Worry and doubt, that's not a blessing. We'll spend some time on how we name our people, our children, our situations, our lives, our neighborhoods, our community, the states that we live in. And I don't mean Georgia and Alabama and Tennessee and Michigan and Ohio. I'm talking about the state of life, like the state of joy, the state of freedom, the state of love. Those are states, those are state existences that we name, and then we step into them and we be a part of them. So let's be a little bit more, we talk about how we do that and give, kind of maybe come up with some strategies and ways that we can avoid naming situations, things that aren't blessings, that's not blessing us, or that's not bringing us into the potential of who and what and whose we are, right? Right, because we are, I am. We are, I am, you am, so we are, I am, okay? So there's a lot, so very much in names. And like I said, we're gonna spend a little bit more time in it. I don't think, I've got one more session, I think, this year. Because next week, we're gonna have some guests for the next couple of sessions. The very last week I'll be there. But I think our last night, I think we got to move into the new month of January, talking about names, because there is something there's a lot, so very much in a name. And spiritually speaking, there's even more, because there's more that we don't understand about names than we know about names. And we know a whole lot about names. I've given you 3 spiritual things that spiritual matters, 3 things that matter or benefits of spiritual, looking at it spiritually. But there's so many more things, more information about names that we should be open to, aware of, conscious of, deliberate about. And we're going to talk about those as we go into next year. But again, spiritually speaking, not only does our name affect how we see ourselves and how others see us and how we see others, it excuse me, I think I probably need to drink a little bit of water because my mouth is getting a little bit dry. It has an important spiritual function as well. It connects us to Creator. It identifies our soul and the potential of who we are. And it gives us, it's our authority. The names it gives us benefits and blessings, and sometimes not blessings, but it was meant to be blessings, to provide blessings for us and give us a responsibility. Yeah. Let us encourage each other. And I specifically encourage you to take ownership of your name that your parents gave you, the name that your soul, that God gave you, to spend time with God to find out. Have God expose or remind you, your soul, of that name. Commune, go into commune, meditate in your soul, with your soul and your spirit, in your heart, until that name and that understanding of what your soul's name is come out, so that you can understand a little bit more about who you are. Because until we know our name, until we know our purpose and our potential, we're kind of, flying in the dark. And our purpose is to fulfill, and our mission and purpose is to get it done. Get it done in the physical. Get it done on earth. Get it done while we're here, like Jesus did, like some others did. So each day, let me encourage you, like my grandmother, spend some time in the evening reflecting on your day. How close did I come to being Jean? And then spend the morning mapping out and planning how you got to fulfill the potential of, if nobody else, I am. Yes. How you going to fill that potential? There are so many scriptures in the Bible that talks about names and the importance of names. The one would be, I'm going to give you just a couple here. I think I made a couple down. One was from like Exodus, and Exodus 20:7. It says, "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold you guiltless if you take his name in vain." And we're going to talk about how you do that. How do you take a name in vain? We're going to talk about that next year when we talk about a little bit more about the power of names and the authority that's given in names. We're going to talk about that. Another one is Psalms 8:1. He says, "To the chief musician on the instrument of God, a psalm of David, O Lord," this is the psalm, "O Lord our God, how excellent is your name in all the earth. Who have set your glory above the heavens. There is no greater name than God's name, I am." No greater name. And absolutely every time you identify yourself, you profess to be his by using his surname. I am G. Yes. And I was going to leave you this one, and it's one that is kind of the theme for tonight. It says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. So a good name is better than all the money in the world, all the riches in the world, all the silver, all the gold in the world, all of that. A good name is even above that. And we know the best name is I am. And we get to use it however we want to, we get to use it however we want to use it. But we want to be careful, because we should not take the name of the Lord in vain, especially if he was gracious enough to allow us to use it. That's all I have tonight. And I'm going to say, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Like I said, I won't be here next week. Next week, I believe we're going to have Jay, the crystallist, Jay Johnson, is going to join us, and she's going to be talking about gift giving with crystal gift giving. And she may have some great ideas for you if you want to give crystals for gifts, and how you can give them, and how you present them to the person or the people that you're giving them to. But she want to explain what it's all for. Yeah. And then the following week is we're going to have with us our Dr. Amber Jade. She's a naturopathic doctor who lives in Miami, in Hawaii, on the great island of Kona. She's going to join us, and she's going to help us get through the rush, the stress of the holiday season. Hopefully, she's going to give you some tips on how to reduce your stress, how you can maintain your sanity, and get through the weeks, the holiday. These weeks ahead of us, the holiday and everything. So plan to join us on Thursdays for a session of the Team Conscious Creators Toolbox, an opportunity to get some food for not only your creativity in your mind, but also give you some information to help you along, to process your journey. You're in a journey, just help you with that growth and transformation and the journey that you're on, trying to identify your purpose, trying to identify your potential, trying to live up to that potential. That's one of the main purposes of Team Conscious Creators Toolbox. I appreciate you joining us. We're going to post this on our YouTube channel. It's going to be available for you after 7 tonight. I hope I can get it done. I may have to, do some little tweaking, because I had a couple of visitors But I might leave it in because it just shows that I'm alive and well, hanging out with my family. I am joining them the week I'm with them this week and having fun. I haven't had time to spend with them, in a while. I've been traveling, so I kind of wanted to visit with them. So I'm spending the next few days with them. So I am going to be here. But until I see you again toward the end of the year, right before New Year's, I think I'm going to be joining you for the last session of the year, probably talking about we'll talk about something that's going to be hopefully beneficial to you, that will help you again live up to the potential of the great person and people that you are, the manifestors that you are, the conscious ones that you are. I love you guys. I love you so very much. I appreciate, again, you being with us and our support. Tell somebody about us. Share our content with your friends and neighbors and people that may benefit from some of the information that we share. I just adore the fact that my spirit guides, surround me and feed me and teach me and help me understand and take apart things and give to me. But I am taxed to pass it on. And I do. I record it and I pass it on. And I hope it gets to whomever it needs to get to. I haven't been taught yet to be worried about the numbers yet so much, but I would like to open myself up to whomever is led to hear and to share. I'm available. I do some life coaching too, and I will be available during the holidays for some free complimentary coaching. You get some sessions that are available, 20 to 30-minute sessions that are available. You can get in touch with me on my website, www.teamconsciouscreators.com or www.jeanaaron.com. Either one of those will get to my calendar, and you can book a quick little session with me if you want to have somebody to talk to. Do not be alone during the holidays. Do not find yourselves needing someone to talk to. And who can I call? Call me. Call Jean. I am offering complimentary sessions. I'll talk to you, if you're on the ledge, I hopefully won't be on the ledge. But if you just, you just don't be alone. Don't be alone. Don't be lonely. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be without hope, because I am here. I'm here, and so many others are here to offer hope. And if you be hopeful, you who is strong in the Lord and strong in the faith, lend yourself. Be open and be aware of folk that's out there that's looking down. Make sure that, you catch their eye and give them a smile. Let them catch your smile so that they can lift their heads. Because there is definitely a future for all of us. And there's a hope in that future. The hope for that future. So I'll see you next in a couple of weeks. And join us next week with Jay, so you can find out what wonderful crystal gifts you can buy and give for this year. And then come back and see Amber, Dr. Amber, and find out how to keep you cool in all this heat and this Christmas holidays. God bless. Manifest best. I love you, because I am loved, I am lovable, and I am loving. So God loves you, and so do I. Manifest best. Until next week. Take care and good night.